Hey guys, it's Gretchen and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I thought I would touch on it's not really a touchy subject regarding piercings, but it's one that might be important to understand. There are a lot of unique piercings popping up recent years. I don't want to say recently because some of these piercings have been around for over a decade or so, but their popularity is increasing and I'm not entirely sure why. So for today's video, I thought I would talk about dangerous piercings. These piercings are ones that can cause harm to a person. Any piercing can kind of harm you in a way. I mean, it is a needle going through you. These piercings are a little bit more risky, if that makes sense. Nothing against anyone who may have any of these types of piercings. These are just ones that have a little bit higher risk of just not being good for you. For this video, I am going to primarily focus on just dangerous piercings. However, I was thinking about doing like dangerous body mods in general, but I feel like most people are aware of things like eyeball tattoos and forked tongues and the dangers that come along with those. So I thought I would just focus on piercings themselves. Just know I am not going to post any pictures like over here or something like that because I'd be demonetized really fast. If you're interested in actually seeing what these piercings look like, you are more than welcome to Google them for yourself. Don't worry, none of them are too extreme. Search for those as you will. So I am going to start off pretty simple by discussing dermal punches. Now, dermal punches on their own are not that bad. A lot of people get them done, you know, that's what a dermal is you get a little dermal punch wherever on your body. It's basically the premise is that on a surface of skin, they use this little thing that kind of looks like a really tiny, I don't know, cookie cutter, apple core or something like that, and they pull out a area of skin. Now, where it starts to get dangerous is in your ears, and it also depends on where in your ears. So why it's dangerous is depending on where in your ear it is, it can cause you to go deaf or at least experience hearing loss. So say you got your conch done. Say you got a conch punch done and it's a much larger hole than anything, you know, standard, like that 14, 16 gauge. Say you got like a 4 gauge conch punch. If you put something like a tunnel in there for jewelry, you can lose your hearing or at least experience hearing loss. And why this is because your tunnel acts kind of like a canal to guide sound through. So sound goes into your ear, and because of this little curvature, it guides it into your ear. Well, if there's a big hole there, the sound has the possibility to go through that hole and out before it actually gets into your ear. I'm not flipping you all off, sorry. It has the possibility to just go completely out through that hole. How this can be remedied though just depends on jewelry. So if you put a plug in wherever you got your dermal punch done instead of a tunnel, then that kind of alleviates it. It puts that little blockage there. It has a solid surface so that the sound can actually go into your ear. So that's primarily why they're dangerous, especially in the ear area. It also depends on where in the ear. So if you get something like up here, not so much, but if you get something down here like your conch, then you have the possibility of either losing your hearing, especially if it's on both sides, or you might experience some hearing loss. Not always the case, not everyone experiences that, but that's a risk that comes along with it. Next up, we have snake eyes piercing. This is not like snake bites piercings, which are, I believe, right here. The snake eyes piercing is on your tongue. So basically what a snake eyes piercing is a horizontal piercing that goes through the tip of your tongue. So typically it's a bar, and then you have like the two balls in the side. Why this is dangerous. Your tongue is made up of 2 large muscles. That's why people can do you know how long it took me to learn how to do that when I was younger, by the way? Really long time. So because of those 2 muscles, they kind of act independently. I don't know why they're going all over the place like that, but they act independently. If you put a bar through the tip of your tongue, it kind of conjoins them together so they can't act independently. So like you have your fingers, they move on their own. correct? All of a sudden, you hold them together and they move as one. May not seem like a bad thing. However, when they're used to being independently, you can do a whole lot more. Whereas when they're together, they can't really do as much as they did before. So what this can lead to is you choking, you not being able to talk well because the different muscles act on their own. You also have the possibility with the jewelry being right up there at the front, you know, chipping your teeth or having gum erosion because it's all pressed right on the inside. There's like no, if you hold it like this, then there's no way to stop that from happening. A lot of piercers won't even do this type of piercing just because of the risk factor. You know, it is a cute piercing, I personally think, but the risks kind of outweigh the cuteness of it, and so I would just really think about it if you are considering it. All right, now we're gonna move into some more extreme dangerous piercings. First one is eyelid piercings. Yes, people get their eyelids pierced and I'm not entirely sure why. I don't know about you all, but I wear contacts and sometimes those bothers the living hell out of me. I can't imagine having a piece of jewelry constantly on or around my eye. So why is this dangerous? There are a lot of reasons why this is dangerous. One, it weighs on your eyelid. It pulls it down. You've got a piece of jewelry there, no matter how lightweight it is, it pulls on it. It can also cause damage to your eye, vision loss. There's a piece of jewelry there. It's constantly rubbing on your eye. Duh. It also may cause your eyelid to not shut completely depending on how you've got the piercing. Some people get it like at the corner here. Some people get it directly on top of it. It just depends on how you get it done, but because of the jewelry, it can cause the eyelid to not shut completely, which can also lead to irritation and or infection in the eye. So something to know about your eyelid is that it's there to prevent bacteria from getting in and causing infection because it can actually lead up to your brain. With a piercing, it kind of punctures through that barrier, which can lead to an increased chance of infection. Just how it is. The next piercing, I don't know how anyone manages this one, but it's your uvula. People get their uvula pierced. If you're unaware of what your uvula is, it's that punching bag looking thing in the back of your throat. It's also the thing that if you touch it, you'll most likely gag. That's where everyone's gag reflex is back there. Ew. People get that pierced. So, why is this dangerous, you ask? Probably didn't, because it's just ew. First of all, it's kind of hard to get done because gag reflex. You're back there trying to pull on it so that you can pierce it, and anything that touches your uvula, like in that way, could trigger your gag reflex. So you may be like gagging the entire time or actually vomiting the entire time. Either one sounds horrible. If you do make it as far as to getting the act done, your uvula can actually be crushed during the process, which can lead to irritation and infection. So before you even get the jewelry into your uvula, you may have already destroyed it. If you do end up getting as far as getting a piece of jewelry through your uvula, there's a chance that the jewelry is heavy and can weigh down the uvula, pull it on down, which can block your airways. You know, that area you need to breathe. And then, of course, with any oral piercing, you have the risk of swallowing the jewelry. If it becomes loose, no one needs to be pooping that out. The next dangerous piercing I'm going to discuss is the subclavicle piercing. Now, this is not to be confused with a clavicle piercing, which deals with your collarbone. So, with your collarbone, right here. So, a clavicle piercing is typically along your collarbone. It's kind of like a dermal, it's a surface piercing, not entirely the worst. However, you then have the subclavicle piercing. Now, you're probably wondering, subclavicle. I don't know if that's actually what you're thinking, but you're probably like, okay, continue. Subclavicle piercing goes under your collarbone. Under your collarbone. Now, how does that work? It works by entering the body cavity. That's right, you're piercing your actual body cavity. Do you know how dangerous that is? Do you know how irresponsible that is? So, how this works, it goes on either side of your collarbone. So, you have your collarbone right here. How this works is it enters one side and comes out through the other. So on either side of your collarbone. May not seem like much, but if you grab a hold of your collarbone, that's a pretty thick bone right there. So to get under it, you have to see how you can pop it out like that. You'd have to do that. And someone experienced would have to know like the anatomy and be able to figure out where all the nerves and veins and vessels are, because you could seriously harm yourself by puncturing any of that. Another issue is if you puncture too close to like your chest, like your inner part, you have a possibility of puncturing your lung, depending on whatever side it is. Why would you risk that? Again, you actually enter the body cavity to pierce this site. You're asking for an increased risk of infection happening. That blows my mind. Like I mentioned, there are many nerves and veins and vessels that kind of run along your collarbone. Nerves are a little bit deeper, but depending on how deep you go with the piercing, you could hit them and damage them permanently. If you want something with your collarbone, just do a dermal. Just do a little surface piercing along it. That's cute enough. You can just do a little punch. It's okay. You don't need to go under it with a subclavicle. Just leave it alone. And the last piercing that I'm going to discuss is the Mandible Pearson. Now, this piercing, as a lot of you may have figured out, does deal with the jaw. So, where this piercing goes is it enters at, or exits depending on how you do it. I would imagine you would go down. But this piercing starts at the base of the tongue and then comes out through the chin. Yes, that happens. Why is this dangerous? Do I really need to explain it? It goes through several layers of skin and muscle and veins and flesh. Just gross. You're basically piercing through a throat muscle at that point. Like the subclavicle, there are so many nerves and veins and vessels in this area that you have a possibility of effing up. Why would you risk it? There's also the issue of saliva production. You may find that you juice up. I don't really know a good way to put it, but with a hole there, yes, there's a piece of jewelry in there, but you may find that the saliva is coming out through the hole a little bit more so than you would think. And so you may just have spittle going everywhere all the time. That's disgusting. Can also lead to more infection. However, if you are interested in this piercing, you know, you'd clean it the same way you would any other oral piercing with like a special mouthwash. Or you could just get a dermal punch right here and create the same effect without actually damaging too much. Pick and choose your battles, people. So these are just some dangerous piercings. Again, I only focused on piercings for this video. I may do a body mods one in the future, but most people know about like forked tongues and eyeball tattoos and like under the skin inserts like Lizard Man did, or people get whiskers implanted. Most people know about those. Not a lot of people know about these piercings. I personally did not realize people were dying to get their uvulas pierced because, ugh. Let me know in the comments below if you actually go look up any of these piercings. Some of them aren't too bad, like the snake eyes ones, not that bad. Like dermal punches in your ears, not that bad. They just have a higher risk of being dangerous, whereas other things are just, I don't know why you do it. Also, let me know in the comments below if you have any of these piercings and have experienced any issues. I highly doubt anyone's gonna come along and say that they have a subclavicle or uvula piercing, but you never know. But let us know like if you do have any of these, your experience below, especially like a dermal punch in your ear, because that is a more common thing. The biggest danger there is just loss of hearing, and which can be alleviated through other means. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a big ol' thumbs up. Going down there and hit that subscribe button wherever it may be, because I don't know. Even though I do, this is just my shtick now. Also hit that notification bell in case you want to know when I upload, and in case YouTube wants to let you know when I upload, because I would really appreciate it. And until next time, bye guys.